I'm frustrated. And the reason I'm frustrated is the fact that all over Instagram and Twitter and everywhere and anywhere where people talk, people are weighing in on this Jon Jones argument and basically saying that, look at boxing. They get paid this and they get paid that and they get paid this. Look at, why should Jon Jones fight Francis Ngannou for anything less than £50 million? What? £50 million? They don't understand how this works. He can't look at Conor McGregor and go, I want that, any more than I can look at the CEO of Ford and go, I should be paid what he's paid. It's apples and oranges. Conor McGregor brings in a certain amount of revenue, a certain amount of guarantees. Jon Jones guarantees £600,000 pay-per-view buys. And I'm not sniffing that. That's impressive. Well done, John. That's great. But don't look at Conor McGregor and demand what he demands or demand what he gets, because you don't bring in enough action to be able to sit there and do that. That's just how that works. So people that sit there and say, yeah, he's fighting Francis Ngannou, he should be paid more. You don't get paid on the risk. You get paid on how much money is bought in. That is how the business works. And you cannot sit there and compare MMA to boxing. They're different business models. Boxing has 5 or 6 different bloody organisations. They have a promoter that works. They have 3 or 4 different promoters. They all have to get a slice of the pie. They have to carve it up differently. And you only hear about this on the big fights. And that model is dying out of that big boxing fight. How many big boxing matches do we now get a year? Less than 1 a year? Big? A big boxing match you probably get once every 2 years, if that. And it's slowing down. Back in the day, you used to get 1 every 6 months. Then it was 1 a year. There's 1 every 2 years. And we are where we are. After Tyson, this is a question. After Fury Joshua, aside from Fury Joshua 2, which will probably happen when there's some sort of robbery, what's the next big boxing match to make that people that don't watch boxing will want to watch? Yeah, I know. You might say Canelo and Billy Joe Saunders. No one knows who they are unless they watch boxing. People know who Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua are because they've transcended the sport. And they will command that big payday. Outside of that, if you don't watch boxing, the big fights, they're not there. They're slowing down. So when you compare the UFC and boxing, you just can't. The UFC is its own thing. It's its own promoter. You sign with the UFC. You don't sign with the WBA, the WBO, the WBC, the IBF, and all of those other ones. And the problem is that in boxing, there's 68 different champions. 68. There's IBF, WBO, WBC, IBA, WBP, GCD, IPC, however many there are. There's 5 organisations if you include Ring. If you don't, there's 4. Inside those 4, there's 17 weight classes. That's 68 champions. In the UFC, there's 12. There's 8 men's and there's 4 women's. There is not 5 different welterweight champions because that's ridiculous. Inside the UFC, there is 1 welterweight champion in the men's division, and that's it. Boxing has 5, and that's the problem with boxing. You can't make something mean that much when someone else has it too, or when 5 other people have it too. And I'm fully aware Bellator exists. I'm fully aware ONE FC exists. I'm fully aware LFA exists, but it's not the same. The UFC is the worldwide leader. It is recognised as that. Tell me which boxing belt means more than the other one. You can't. They're all very old. The WBC might be the most prestigious, but it's not the oldest. Eldest? Oldest. Eldest? I never know which one of those to use. My point being, And I've digressed a lot. This is turned into more of a UFC versus boxing video, which it wasn't supposed to be, but I'm a little bit frustrated in the conversation that Jon Jones should get paid X amount of money, Deontay Wilder money to fight Francis Ngannou. I do not sit here and disagree he should be paid more as it's a bigger fight and it will bring in more eyes. But the more should come on the back end from the pay-per-view. He signed a contract for X amount of money every single fight until it expires. Now, because he's fighting someone else, he's decided he wants more money. Fine, do a deal on the pay-per-view and that way you get what you bring in. If you get more eyeballs, you get paid more. You can't just have more because he's scary.